Hey everybody, today is a special video dedicated to this Star Wars celebration in Orlando. We are down to about 23 days and counting as of the time of us filming this video, and the days are going to fly by at this point. We had a bunch of folks that pinged us either on Twitter or in the comments of the videos, etc., that asked would we do a specific video for celebration based off of knowledge from prior events. And I just wanted to try to put a little bit of information out there for folks. If you haven't gone to Celebration before, based off of us going to the last two in Orlando and the last one out in Anaheim. So let's talk about it. And by the way, if you do see us at Celebration, we have some buttons to give away. Here's a shot of one, out of focus. And we'll have some patches to trade also. I know one of the big things at Celebration are folks that trade pins and patches and all kinds of good stuff. We have some that are custom made specific for View from the Cheap Seats. So if you see us, see if we have any. We'll also be covering the Star Wars Grand Florida Alliance fan booth on Friday, April 14th from 10 a.m. to noon. So if you guys want to stop by and say hello, we'll be stationed there for a bit. And we'll actually be looking for some folks to get on video at that time. We also have club patches that are a wedge of a larger collectible piece with other fan clubs that are located throughout the country. So stop by, see if we have one of those pieces. I believe that we're going to have a little trivia or something going on in order to try to get one of those patch pieces. But let's talk about Star Wars Celebration in general. Star Wars Celebration Orlando is a 4-day event. It starts on Thursday, April 12th. And it goes through Sunday, Easter Sunday, April 16th. Maybe not the best scheduling of days there because it's a family event and a family holiday that impacts quite a few people, but that is the weekend. The show floor opens every day at 10 a.m. and it closes 7 p.m. on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and 5 p.m. on Sunday. Star Wars Celebration Orlando will be housed in the Orlando Convention Center, so this is right off of I-Drive. Conveniently located, closest theme park-wise, SeaWorld, then Universal Studios, then Disney, all within driving distance, not all within walking distance. 4-day tickets to Star Wars Celebration sold out very early on in the sale run, although all 4 individual day tickets are still available, and they run basically from $75 for Thursday, Friday, and Sunday to $85 on Saturday. Those tickets will sell out also, and I'm surprised that they're not sold out already with the demand that is around for Star Wars these days. If you're considering going, highly suggest picking up tickets sooner than later and not waiting to the day of. Highly unlikely that tickets will be available day of the event. Children's tickets are available as well. 4-day tickets are still available at $70 for 4 days, and every individual day, if you wanted to purchase individual tickets, they're $35 a piece. Now, what can you expect when you get to Star Wars Celebration at the Convention Center? Star Wars Celebration is a huge convention, meaning it will take up at least an entire wing of the Orlando Convention Center, the Orange County Convention Center, we'll say that correctly. The entranceway, you typically will go in to a holding area before 10 o'clock hits for everybody to be able to get in. And what you should expect, no matter how early you get there, because I know that folks will say, I got here at 9 o'clock, there should be no line. There will be the greatest amount of humanity of all time that you've ever seen waiting in that general wait area. Bring cell phone charger batteries. There's a lot of waiting throughout the entire weekend, but it all starts before the doors open up. Doors open up. If you have a Jedi Knight VIP package, those guys get in first, and that's kind of like the really high-end ticket prices. Those were extremely limited and sold out within seconds of tickets going on sale. The general holding waiting area is basically part of like the convention hall, usually just bare concrete floor with turnbacks or cutbacks kind of outlined in tape throughout the floor, without a lot of entertainment to watch, as far as video screens or anything else. So a lot of it's just self-entertainment and looking at other people that are waiting and talking and meeting and making new friends. Waiting in that area kind of sets the precedent for what you should expect for the rest of your time at Star Wars Celebration. If you're going to look at panels, or you're going to go try to get autographs, or try to get online for exclusives, anything like that, there is an awful lot of waiting involved at Star Wars Celebration, and it's like kind of like the world's largest lines that you'd expect at a theme park, but at a convention. So as you're starting to set out and more things are released, as far as schedules for different panel times and celebrity signings and things like that, be very cognizant that you can't just walk up. I know that there's a lot of folks that have this mindset when you go to a theme park that I could just walk right up and see a parade, 5 minutes, 15 minutes before it starts, or there's a concert starting in the plaza at a theme park. I can just get there half an hour beforehand and be able to just waltz right into the front. It doesn't happen. Some lines, just to give perspective of how long folks wait. In Anaheim, we had new costumes on display and some props from The Force Awakens. We managed to see that on the first day, and we waited like an hour to be able to get into that room. An hour was nothing compared to later on. Like, we got to a Saturday, and the wait time to get into that exhibit was roughly 5 to 6 hours of just basically standing in line and waiting to get into that room. So budget your time accordingly. If there are certain panels that you want to see, or certain things that you want to see, and they're close together, you really have to do a lot of choosing of one or the other. A few key things that I would suggest bringing with you, and it sounds ridiculous, like your parents telling you to do things. Comfortable shoes are a must. There's a lot of concrete floors, and there's a lot of walking, even on the carpeted floors. Throughout the convention center, I would say on an average day, if you're hitting different sections of the con throughout the day, expect that you're probably walking, at least 4 to 6 miles a day, just putting in time trying to get from room to room. The convention center is huge. I would suggest bringing a bottle for water, so you can get it from the water fountains. Concessions and drinks at the convention center are just like going to like a pro sports game or a concert or a theme park. They are expensive, and those costs rack up. I always bring a backpack or something to hold, either a refillable bottle of water in, as well as snacks, Cliff bars, granola bars, small bags of like pretzels or snacks that you can go through, fruit, things like that during the day, so that you're not having to rely on going to get like a $10 hot dog or a $15 personal pizza from Papa John's. I'm not sure of those exact prices, but we're talking ballpark here. Definitely, even if you're flying into Orlando, I would suggest hitting like a Walmart or Publix or Target or something before checking into your hotel and heading over to the convention center. Those costs rack up quickly, and you're going to want to spend your money elsewhere in the con. Trust me. Likewise, maybe bottle of Tylenol or something, Band-Aids for blisters as you're walking around, Tylenol for headaches because of the crowds, and just, you're kind of limited in your surroundings where you're just stuck at the convention center all day for the most part. Those are things that I would suggest. Cosplay, you're going to see some of the greatest cosplayers around, whether you belong to the 501st Legion or the Rebel Legion, or you're just an independent person dressing up in some cosplays. Some of them are detailed down to movie accuracy. Some of them are really hilarious hybrids of things that are out there. Make sure you're bringing a camera, and you bring extra batteries for your camera, for your cell phone camera, for your pocket camera or SLR or whatever you're bringing with you. Highly suggest bringing extra batteries for that. But if you are cosplaying and you want to know the rules and you're not sure if you're allowed to bring anything, check the Star Wars Celebration website page. They do have details on there about weapons check. Anybody that brings a weapon in, I believe, whether it's a lightsaber or it's a blaster, pistol, etc., you need to get it checked before you can be able to get onto the floor. And you normally put like some type of marking on it or a tag, usually like a little fluorescent orange tag or a string around it, etc., so that it's easily markable that security looked at it and deemed it was safe. You can't dress like Chewbacca and bring a real crossbow. They're just, real weapons, not allowed. As far as planning goes, there is an app that is out. It's been out every year for Star Wars Celebration. It's just not updated with Orlando information yet. One of the downsides of trying to do one of these videos now, as opposed to doing it like a week before Celebration, is that there's so much additional information that'll be added up to the last minute as far as celebrities that'll be coming, panel times that'll be coming, etc. But as things are released, like they released the collecting track panel information on the website already, you can take that information, and if you were skillful enough, you could drop it into an Excel spreadsheet yourself to try to plot out, these are the rooms and the times of different things that I want to hit. The app that they release for iPhone and for Android does that really well for you, because it will list out all of the panels. You could put a heart next to it. It'll grid it out so that you know, or you can set reminders usually for what times are different panels that you need to head to, so that you're reminded throughout the day, oh yeah, I need to get to this thing next, etc. Folks that are coming for one day instead of all 4 days, I really encourage folks to study what panels and what things are available to see prior to being able to go to Celebration. There is so much stuff to see that even after a 4-day trip, most of the time when we go, we feel like we haven't seen everything or haven't experienced everything. And it's really key, you know, if you don't plan before you get there, it's like ADD overdrive, where there's so much stuff to see. You get really caught up in, you know, maybe I should just get in this line for this autograph now, or maybe I should do this, and then, you know, by the time you look, and then you start to have this regret of, you know, I could have gone to hear so-and-so speak, or to go, you know, see this guy talk, or to see this little skit, or you know, go to this contest, etc. Plan ahead. Definitely plan ahead. As far as panels go, again, you'll see different types of panels. Some of my favorite panels that are there every year, and I just mentioned earlier, some of the details are released for them now on the Celebration website. We'll put a link down below to the information that's available now, is around the collecting track. There's some of the collecting track panels give you a goodie if you go to the panel and you sit through and you listen to everything that's going on. They give out these little star type figures. It's not so much a figure, it's like a metal, it's like almost like a metal pin without the pin back, with kind of like a small classic card back with you know, animated type artwork. And we'll put a picture of that up here. You guys can see they're really sought after, which tends to have folks line up a good chunk of time ahead of each of these collecting panels. You know, and there could be panels around collecting over the 40 years of Star Wars, or, you know, how to identify different fakes or different knockoffs from different countries. You know, toys for a specific movie, or around certain monsters, or how do you display certain toys and things like that, or collectibles and things. Each one of those would give out like a different type of star tot. And you'll find folks throughout the convention that are trading ones from different sessions that they haven't been in for, you know, the ones that they have duplicative of. So, like, you know, say if Mary, Jesse, and myself all go to the same panel, you end up with 3 of the same star tot, because there's no variance in the star tots that they give you for each session. So you get 3 of the same. And some of those collecting panels are really fun. Some of them, you know, my favorite panel at least is, you know, kind of this higher end one where like Novos has been there, EFX has been there, Gentle Giant, etc., and they kind of explain all of these big ticket items that are coming out throughout the year. Sometimes have some specific guest star appearances and things, or, you know, giveaways and things like, you know, the panels are a lot of fun, and I would highly encourage folks to go to them. All of them may not be for everybody. I know for sure there's some panels sometimes that Jess or Mary will start to nod off in, because, you know, I think it's like geared towards more hardcore folks, and I think that's the difference. You're going to see really casual fans going to the event, and you're going to see these really hardcore fans going to the event. There's fan panels as well. So the 501st Legion will be there. Folks that don't know the 501st Legion, I'm wearing one of their shirts now. I'm not a member of the 501st Legion. I'd love to be a friend of the 501st Legion one day, but we'll see if that ever happens. This we picked up by making a donation to Make-A-Wish. The 501st Legion will be there. They typically have a panel together with other larger fan organizations like the Rebel Legion, etc., that explain like cosplay and things like that, as well as how their group operates, because it's all over the world. Garrisons, you know, all over the world, and, you know, they kind of go through some of the history of the group, etc. But there's fan panels out there, different fan groups all together. The rest of that information will be forthcoming on the website, on the Star Wars Celebration website, as well as their app. I'd encourage folks to look at them. There's a lot of great stuff there, and you'll make friends at some of these panels that will last for years. Let's talk a little bit more about what else you can expect to see at Celebration. When you enter into the general area for Celebration, after you get into the holding pen in the morning and the doors open at 10, you slowly file into the building, you are going to see like this magnificent wave of vendor displays and companies that are there, you know, like Gentle Giant or Lego, etc., and huge displays that go up to the ceiling, as well as smaller vendors selling you know, collectibles and things like that. What you'll also see in there, fan groups. Like I mentioned at the start of this video, I will be at the Star Wars Grand Florida Alliance booth on Friday from 10 a.m. to 12 Eastern. There's other fan groups like that that have tables set up. The 501st Legion, the Rebel Legion, the Mandalorian Mercs, they all have really awesome displays to check out. The R2 Builders Club, those guys are off the chain as far as building actual working R2 units that you can go in, see the different units that they have. They usually have some cross sections that are halfway built, etc., in there to be able to answer questions and talk to you about what they do and how long it takes to do them, and hopefully get you engaged so that maybe you want to be able to do something like that in the future for yourself. Rancho Obi-Wan will be back this year at Star Wars Celebration. Rancho Obi-Wan is a museum dedicated to Star Wars that's located out in California. It's owned by Steve Sansweet. Sansweet does an amazing job. He is really the premier collector of Star Wars memorabilia and has been for many years. He brings a nice cross-section of his collection, or the Rancho Obi-Wan collection, and kind of sets up a mini Rancho Obi-Wan on the general convention floor. There's usually a small line or a line to be able to get into Rancho Obi-Wan, as well as Steve is normally around if you want to meet him and sign autographs, or take pictures, etc. Some of the stuff is a real joy to be able to see. They could be props that were never used on the screen, prototype type things, actual props that were on the screen, different types of collectibles that may have been from other countries or other areas that never saw the light of day in America, etc. Or, you know, it's just amazing to see all of the stuff that is on display, and it's just a small sampling of what Rancho Obi-Wan actually has out in California. Every year, one of the most fun things that we've done is diorama building, and it sounds, you know, like maybe that would be like childlike, but there are these huge dioramas that get built every year. You know, I know, you know, going back, I think in the first celebration in Orlando, we built pieces for this large-scale Hoth diorama, and I think the second time around in Orlando, we built pieces that were like a large-scale Tatooine type display. This time around, the diorama building, and it's all different levels too, so you go up to them and tell them either like you're a beginner or you feel intermediate, or, you know, you're an expert in being able to use a hot glue gun or things like that, and they put you into different groupings based off of your feel of skill set. But this time around, you're going to be creating the Death Star Trench. It's partnered with Hot Wheels this year, so that you're going to eventually be able to race cars through the trench. So you're building a large-scale Death Star. It sounds like a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to being able to get back to do that, because usually at the end of the celebration event, you know, you have your name marked on the piece that is eventually put together with the other pieces, and you can take that home. So it's kind of like you're building your own collectible. It really is a lot of fun, especially for families. Like we've done that with Jesse, you know, a couple of times now, and been able to take the pieces home. So you can always go back and say, remember when we built that piece. As always, the Star Wars Art Show is on as well. There's a lot of talented artists that do pieces in partnership with Lucasfilm, specific for the celebration event, and they're limited, so they normally do like a limit of like 250 pieces, etc. A lot of those pieces are available for pre-order now, and we're going to put the link down below. The pre-orders went up last week, so some of the art, I'm not really sure at this point. It could be sold out already, or there could be certain numbers that are sold out, but well worth checking into. Some of those pieces of art, you know, they only go up in value post celebration, and some of them, you know, I think folks recognize as soon as you see the specific art, you can go back to, oh yeah, I remember that from celebration. And one of the most memorable pieces for me, I think, was this the idea of like a Star Wars theme park, which ironically we're starting to see now at Hollywood Studios and at Disneyland. Every Star Wars celebration, they have what is considered like nerd night speed dating, and it essentially is speed dating for folks that sign up. If you're single, they put you at tables and you go from table to table to be able to meet other folks, that might potentially be interested in you. I've never done it myself, so I can't tell you how it potentially works. I've only peeked in on it, and they are very protective of folks looking in and everything too. So if you feel self-conscious, like maybe folks are going to be looking or making fun or things like that, it's usually very much a closed-door event. But I have heard from others that have gone through their speed dating event that it was successful or a great time, and might be worth checking out for yourself. Celebration will also be hosting a podcast stage this year. So various podcasts were allowed to submit for the ability to broadcast their podcast live from Star Wars Celebration in front of an audience. So that will be one more option for folks to be able to do. And then let's talk about shopping. The Star Wars Celebration store is always one of the big cornerstones of Celebration. The Star Wars Celebration store itself hasn't announced items for sale yet specific to this Star Wars Celebration. There's always exclusives that they end up selling. I can tell you that some of the exclusives that we ended up getting in Anaheim are still sitting in boxes, either waiting to be displayed, etc. But folks will line up for hours to get into the Star Wars Celebration store. So it's one of those things that if you're going on a quiet day, and Thursday generally seems to be like the big day that everybody, the doors will open and everybody will flock to the store to try to get things before they sell out, because that happens too. Some of the better shirts that were logoed for Star Wars Celebration sold out first day last year. And you typically form a line to get into the store. This has been the source of much frustration, I think, through most folks that have gone through celebrations in the past, because of the way the store gets bigger every year, but they don't necessarily accommodate the crowds still that come in. But you wait online to get into the store, you find the items that you want to purchase, then you have to wait online again to be able to check out. So focus again. You can end up spending many hours to buy things at the Celebration store. Once again, I would check back on the Star Wars Celebration site probably a week or so before the event happens to see the items that you may be interested in, so that you're not spending a lot of time kind of wandering through the store before trying to be able to pick up your items and get on the checkout line to be able to make things as expeditious as possible. The other places that you're going to spend money, if you are a collector, are obviously the vendors that are there every year. This year we have vendors such as Funko. EA will be there, although I think EA is going to be spending more time just presenting gaming, and I'm not sure what yet is on display. Rumored that we might see Battlefront Part 2 on display, but I think we'll also see some mobile gaming, etc. Novos will be there, Disney theme park merch, and there hasn't been any announcement as to what Disney theme park merch will relate to at this point. Going back a couple celebrations ago in Orlando, and the one before that in Orlando, we saw good representation from Disney with actual exclusives for Celebration only at Celebration from Disney parks that were highly sought after the fact, and even during the convention. In the Celebration in Anaheim last time around, Disney had a presence, but they were only really telling you about the theme parks, and they didn't have merchandise for you to purchase. But it is announced that Disney theme park merch will be back this year. Just don't know what they'll have. DK Books, EFX, Hasbro, Hot Wheels, Revel, Sideshow, Sphero, ThinkGeek, Gentle Giant, Koto Bakaya, I always butcher that name so badly, and Lego. I don't know if I said Lego already, maybe I said it twice. A lot of those companies will have Celebration exclusive items, and some of them have been announced already. You may want to Google specific items that are going to be available. And Novos typically has a great display. When we were in Anaheim, they had a great display of items that were available now, and they had items that were forthcoming that you could either pre-order and have a special Celebration pre-order price Once again, it is very much advised that you look, probably a week or so before the event to find what the exclusives will be but for each of those vendors and make decisions on where you want to budget money. Some of the items you really do get caught up in the moment, at least as a collector. I know I've been in a situation where you're like, well, maybe I should pick this up now because there's a fear that maybe you wouldn't see it again in the future. I will say that Hasbro historically has had items that are exclusives, and then they end up on the Hasbro website for like a week or so after the event as well. As far as Funko had some items last time around in Anaheim where they had some of the large figures, some of the pop figures that were not available anywhere else, the large figures being the Shogun figures. They were really difficult to get. I think Funko got slammed hard because they were allowing vendors prior to the doors opening to get online and purchase things. The lines, by the time that the general public got in to be able to purchase things, the exclusives were gone for the day. It was just not a very well put together outing from them. This time around, as of today, Funko tweeted out, so if you are on social media, you may want to go, I'm not sure if it's on Facebook, I know for sure it's on Twitter. If you look for Funko, there is a tweet that went out where you have to enter a lottery to be able to purchase their exclusive items at Celebration. You tell them what days you're going to be there, and they put you in a bin where you would potentially get a return time to be able to show up and buy the Celebration exclusives that are available at that time slot, whatever is kind of left for you to get at that specific time. The general public will not have access to the Funko booth until like 2 o'clock every day after everything is already distributed to the folks that have signed up online beforehand for their lottery. Finally, some of the other stuff that you're going to see on the Celebration general floor in the general convention area, you'll see fan group made props. In the past we saw giant AT-ATs, or we've seen Roxy the Rancor, giant TIE fighters, kind of like the speeder bikes from Endor. A lot of different photo opportunities, and a lot of these items come from the 501st Legion that build things and ship them over from overseas, or build things locally and they ship them to the convention center. You'll see fan tables again, different tables from different fan groups, the R2 builders. You'll see a tattoo pavilion also, so I want to talk about the tattoo pavilion a little bit. Some of the greatest tattoo artists that do Star Wars based tattoos will be available. You want to check the Star Wars Celebration website now, because there is a link to the folks that will be there. They do amazing work on site. You're going to pay a premium because you're seeing these folks on site as opposed to going to the normal shops, but the bonus is that for somebody like me that lives in Orlando, we may not have access to some of these guys that are traveling in from other states, and you want to be able to get their work. You could look at the artists that'll be there now on the website and actually Google some of their work online also. That might be a bonus to get an idea of what you might want to do. And they may have some advanced scheduling for you to be able to schedule time with them while you're at the show. The tattoo folks do have their own contest it's typically like the Sunday of the event. It may be Saturday or Sunday, we don't know yet because the schedule's not up. But the tattoo contest, where they have everyone kind of parade out and they have different categories, it is one of my most fun times going to Celebration. It's probably one of the lesser populated panels, but some of the artwork is so incredible. It's awesome to see everybody on display showing off their artwork. Likewise, as far as cosplay, there is a cosplay contest that takes place as well, and that's typically, I believe, usually held on a Saturday, and of course I don't believe that schedule is up on the website at this point either, but the entry for the cosplay contest is already done. They closed the entry for the contest on March 3rd, so if you're looking to be able to go there on site and register, and I would imagine unless folks have canceled their appearances to be able to be in that contest, I don't believe that they accept folks on site to be able to register for their cosplay contest. Some amazing costumes in that cosplay contest also. Now lastly, let's talk about some of the guests that'll be at Star Wars Celebration. So we have stage hosts. These are the guys that are going to be hosting the panels on the various stages. You have David Collins, very well known for doing Star Wars work on YouTube and podcasts, etc. Warwick Davis, who was Wicket the Ewok, played a bunch of other characters as well in Star Wars. as well as some in that other Wizard franchise. And Amy Ratcliffe, she's going to be hosting panels as well. Fantastic lineup of stage hosts. I think they're really going to keep the crowd entertained, in addition to the guests that they'll have on the stage. Spotlight guests that they have, Doug Chiang, who is the Lucasfilm Vice President, Executive Creative Director. If you've gone to either Disney park that has the Star Wars launch bay, Doug has a role in the movie that plays before you go into the launch bay itself. He has a very big role at Lucasfilm as far as tying things together. Dave Filoni is one of the spotlight guests also. And of course, Dave is responsible for Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, etc. Rian Johnson, director of The Last Jedi, will be there. Kathleen Kennedy, president of Lucasfilm. I believe you'll probably see a good chunk of those folks involved in the panel that is planned out for the Star Wars Last Jedi, and I believe that that's scheduled for Friday at this point. Timing of the panel, I'm still not sure of either. If the panels happen in the morning, like for the upcoming movie, what tends to happen is folks feel obligated that they need to sleep out overnight. So like when they had the panel for the Force Awakens, people slept over from Wednesday night into Thursday to try to get into that panel. Maybe not the greatest use of time if you're paying for a hotel room. Some of the other featured guests, Pablo Hidalgo, Gus Lopez, Steve Sansweet, three of the most knowledgeable guys that you'll ever find around Star Wars. Pablo is a sweetheart gentleman, so is Gus Lopez. When it comes to speaking to them, they love the movies, they love the books, they love anything about Star Wars. They know it front and back. It is amazing to talk to those guys if you have the opportunity to. Steve Sansweet, such an incredible guy. Awesome to talk to. Very, very humorous. Again, world's greatest Star Wars collection. Anything that you probably would ever think of collectible-wise, he's already thought about it and probably owns it. Star Wars autographs this time around are going to be done differently than they have been in prior celebrations. Star Wars autograph sessions were previously done through official picks, and their contract ended prior to The Force Awakens coming out. This time around, they've partnered with Topps to be the autograph hall or autograph overseer or coordinator or the folks that are managing it. The folks that they've announced so far are kind of a potpourri of classic saga, some of the newer Rebel stuff or Clone Wars, and some of the stuff that we've seen in Rogue One over the last year. Prices for the autographs, if you're curious, are up already on the Topps website, linked to the Star Wars Celebration page. We'll put a link down below for folks to check that out also. Some of the bigger folks from Rogue One that are going to be there. Felicity Jones will be there. Her autograph pricing for myself, a little rich for my blood. And they talk about the prices are up there for both autographs and photo ops at this point, because you can buy either autograph or photo op or a combo of both. Most of these folks, unless they are some of the folks that are cheaper down the autograph price, will not do photos at the table. So if you go in and you think, I'm going to get an autograph from Felicity Jones, we're going to have this greatest conversation in the world, I'm going to propose to her, we're going to have the greatest life ever, it's not going to happen. Most of the time you get to meet these folks that are on the higher end of the autograph charging schedule, and they're there to say hello, how are you doing, sign something really quick, move along, and you're done. There's no opportunity to be able to take a photo at the table with these guys. But we have Riz Ahmed, Felicity Jones, and Alan Tudyk will be there from Rogue One. And to give you a price range, Alan Tudyk's autograph is about $65 when you pre-order it. Felicity Jones doesn't have single autograph tickets available anymore on the website from what I can see, so I'm not sure if they've sold out in the advance tickets, at least at this point. They do have a combo with her and Alan Tudyk for $300. I believe that her autograph was either $200 or $250 when they initially listed it on the Topps website. So, like I said, it's a little rich for my blood. Ian McDiarmid will be there, the Emperor, $90 for an autograph. But then you find some of these folks that are cheaper, and I can honestly tell you that I've had amazing experiences with some of these folks that charge less, like Jeremy Bullock, Boba Fett, $35 for an autograph. He is a wonderful guy to talk to, very, very appreciative of his fans. Matthew Wood, who did the voice for General Grievous, is also huge within Lucasfilm. $35 for an autograph. Peter Mayhew, Chewbacca, huge character, really great sweetheart guy, $60 for an autograph. Ray Park, Darth Maul in The Phantom Menace, $50 for an autograph. But we'll put the link down below to where you can find who's there so far. I would expect that the guest list will grow, because based off of the guests that they have announced already for autographs, it seems very thin compared to prior years. There's no like Mark Hamill on the list, etc. at this point. So I would be surprised if he's not a part of Celebration this year. And then last but not least, if you're not seeing enough Star Wars all day, every day, there's plenty of after parties that are taking place. Rebel Force Radio has a pre-Star Wars Celebration party going on that Wednesday night. The 501st Legion has a party going on, which will be absolutely amazing, with an appearance from Weird Al Yankovic. The Rebel Legion has a party going on. I believe they're sold out already. There's so many different places or groups that are having kind of after party and party type events to go to at night. That just kind of makes this feel like a really wire-to-wire con. 12 plus hours a day. Amazing for Star Wars fans. Now, I'm sure I've missed a few topics here and things that folks are going to look at and comment and say, you didn't cover this, etc. We could try to do another video as we creep up closer to Celebration. If there's enough demand for it, I'll try to answer questions that way. Or if folks are asking questions in the comments below, and feel free to help each other in the comments, or wait for me. I'll try to respond to as many comments as I can. And if there's the same kind of questions popping up over and over again, then maybe I'll cover that topic in a future video. But that is all the information that I have to share with you guys for now. So on that note, thank you for all of your likes. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your subscriptions. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Have a great night. See you guys in 23 days.